to Access Point. Access Point is a new on-demand business education tool being developed for use by small businesses across the District of Columbia. Access Point is brought to you by the DC Department of Housing and Community Development, DHCD, the DC Department of Small and Local Business Development, DSLBD, District Bridges, and the Rhode Island Avenue Main Street.
Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Access Point Radio. Thank you for joining us today. As always, I want to start off the show by thanking our sponsors, the Department of Small and Local Business Development, and in particular, the DC Main Streets program, and the Department of Housing and Community Development. It is their grant dollars to us that not only help us produce this show, but allow us to assist businesses up and down in our case, the Rhode Island Avenue Main Street corridor, but also in Main Street corridors throughout the District of Columbia. We are coming to you from the District of Columbia, and we are continuing our series of talking with business owners here in DC and how they are adapting and adjusting, and in some cases completely pivoting their business processes to be able to stay in business during the government shutdown, during the country's shutdown because of the coronavirus, COVID-19. So I'm very pleased to welcome today another very innovative business owner, Chef Christian Irabien from Muchas Gracias, DC. Thank you for joining us today, Christian.
Thank you for having me, Todd. I'm happy to be here.
So you actually were just about to open when all of this hit. Your new restaurant space up in Van Ness. Talk a little bit about the original concept for your restaurant, if you would, please.
Sure, absolutely. So I'm originally born and raised in Mexico, but did a lot of growing up in the border of El Paso, Texas, and Ciudad Juarez. The idea originally was to do what we call borderless cuisine, a representation of the flavors of everything from northern Mexico and the southwest region of the United States, and the conversation ongoing about how all of the flavors of Mexico, being our near neighbor to the south, influence a lot of the cooking through the regions of the United States. We had spent months building this beautiful space and creating a menu and developing a system of full service for the neighborhood, and we were ready to announce and ready to open. And the weekend where we were supposed to get all of our teams ready to go to start working and open the doors to the neighborhood, the country shut down, the world shut down.
Yeah. So you obviously hit by a blow of bad luck on that, but you didn't just keep your doors shut. You've rolled out some exciting to-go menus. How is business going for you?
Yeah. So I mean, we did close the doors for a minute. We had no idea what was happening, what we were gonna do, what the right thing to do was. We for sure needed some soul searching to figure out what we needed to do for ourselves and for the neighborhood and for our people. And through the couple of weeks that we were closed, we started seeing a lot of our friends, whether restaurant owners or colleagues, and other people in the restaurant world around DC that we've worked with before through the years, and we started seeing everybody closing their doors, losing their businesses, their livelihoods, their jobs. Just everything seemed to be falling apart. Particularly the people that we saw the most need to reach out to and help were the Latin American immigrant community, who make a large portion, if not the entire backbone of the restaurant industry here in Washington, D.C. and across the country. Particularly because a lot of the resources being opened up were being channeled through platforms that the Latin American community doesn't necessarily frequent or have access to, whether it be because of language barriers, internet access, social media platforms that are not necessarily heavily used by the community. So a lot of the information wasn't reaching the people that needed it the most, and the people that, when all of these establishments are open, are the ones that show up to do all of the heavy lifting for them. So it originally started with us trying to put together all of the resources that we could in English and in Spanish to help all of our furloughed team members, but also all of the furloughed staff members around the city that that we knew were in need of help. That eventually turned out to different organizations that were aligned with our vision, which were providing, whether it be farm fresh grocery bags that were supporting farms and also people in need. The main one being Friends and Family Meal, as well as Tables Without Borders, who we've done a lot of work with through the last year, whose focus is to work with immigrant refugee chefs and pair them with restaurants and chefs to help them develop careers in the culinary field here in DC. Then that turned into, how else can we support? And the only thing, the biggest thing, if not the only thing that we know how to do is cook beautiful food and show up for people. So we opened the doors. We brought in a team of 3 people. We didn't know if people were actually going to come out and eat. We didn't know if people were going to leave their homes. We didn't know anything. So we sort of just saw an immediate need for 3 people that were in our team that needed paychecks to support their families, and here in DC and also abroad. And we brought them in, and week 1 was good. Week 2 was insane. And week 3, even more so. So as we've gone, we've been able to reabsorb a couple of other staff members that had been let go from the restaurant. And we're cooking food, and the neighborhood's there for it. And they're coming in and they're buying all of it, literally selling out almost every weekend.
That's such good news. Are you doing delivery? Are you doing delivery? Is it all pick up and take out?
We do pick up and take out, but we also do delivery. We are on a few different platforms, but you can get delivery through our website directly. Also, we're on Caviar, DoorDash, and Chow Now, and working on other avenues as we've been growing. I think because of the nature, we had spent almost 8 months trying to figure out the training and the concept and how we were going to open this restaurant for the neighborhood. And then everything sort of got flipped upside down. And then we had to figure out took us 8 months on how to do it in 4 days. So everything is sort of an organic breathing organism that we're adjusting and feeding and caring for every single day, and trying to make sure that we are, holding it up as best we can and trying to help it evolve as we're moving.
I mean, any new business under normal circumstances has to grow and evolve from the day you open your door. And so I'm sure you were prepared for one set of expectations in how you might have to adapt your business model. And then suddenly the world is flipped upside down, and you got to come up with a whole new script to follow. What a challenge! But I mean, if you're selling out every weekend, it sounds like you're meeting the challenge quite well. What beyond the fact that you suddenly had to redo the script, what are some unexpected challenges that you've run up against within the scheme of, okay, we have to change our whole business model? What are some of the challenges that you've run up against in this new world order?
Well, so many. I think the immediate challenge that comes to mind is just adjusting our service. Myself and my team included, we've all worked in full service restaurants, and we've basically focused our entire business models and mindsets on figuring out how to deliver a full service experience that translates a story or a way to celebrate, whether it be just a night out or a birthday or any kind of familiar celebration that we all hold as humans. And now we've had to sort of turn that into this insane takeout operation where 1 minute we figured, well, we sometimes do food to go, it can't be that hard, to figuring out how do we prepackage 150 salads at a time, along with everything else, because the demand is so exponential that I don't think that us in our weirdest dreams figured that this would take off as much as it did, considering the situation that we're in. But I suppose that there are worse problems to have.
Well, I mean, I can tell you as a native Texan that the hunger for good Mexican food is a real thing here. So it's no wonder you're doing well. And I've, in talking with other restaurant owners that are adapting to this either delivery or takeout model, it seems like one of the biggest challenges is which of the foods that you prepare translate well to takeout. Just like you mentioned about prepacking the salads. I'm sure that as you mentioned in one of your earlier comments, loving to make beautiful food. I would imagine it's a challenge to pack a to-go box that is as visually compelling as it is tasty. Have you come up with some new processes for that? Are you just worried about getting the food out the door?
Yeah, I mean, I think as we've had to adapt, and as the weeks have gone on and our volume has increased, and also looking back at when we decided to get Muchas Gracias up and running, one of the biggest things that we talked about was that the main concept for the food that we were doing was not to be, we weren't trying to be a chef-driven concept. We weren't trying to recreate something insane. What we were trying to do was feed our neighbors and, create immediate economic impact for the people that we would be able to absorb. And in order to do that, we wanted to box up what we would consider a hug. We wanted to have feel-good meals, simple, homey, delicious stuff, not anything that would have you guessing what was on the plate, what the crazy ingredient was, what an insane flavor combination was happening, which are all great. And when we do have, our restaurants open and our dining rooms open, and we're welcoming you to see our vast culinary techniques, what we wanted to do was make sure that the people in the neighborhood that needed access to food were getting it, that they were getting nutritious meals, that they were getting hot meals, and that they were getting something that felt good, that at the end of the meal they felt satisfied, they felt nourished, and with a portion that once they were done, maybe there would be a little bit left over for either breakfast or lunch the next day.
I love that concept, boxing up a hug. That's phenomenal. So out of the lessons that you're learning, in this case, unexpected lessons learned, what do you see taking forward with you when restrictions are eased and you're allowed to bring your guests into the restaurant again?
Well, one, we're all very anxious for that. We're anxious to see our friends again, to welcome people into our dining room, to be able to shake hands and physically hug beyond the plate. But we're unsure. We're so uncertain as to what's going to happen tomorrow, let alone 3 months from now. We don't know if we're going to get shut down again, if everything's just sort of going to reopen, what the landscape's going to look like after this, considering what's been happening, not just in restaurants, but also throughout the supply chain, right? The farms and the purveyors and the people working in all these fields. There's been all kinds of shutdowns and meatpacking plants in different farms where we've been having issues getting some of the product that comes from the Southwest and then from Mexico to be able to create the dishes that we usually create. So we are also having to adapt and get really creative with what's around us, which on one end of the spectrum in the chef world is something that is constantly preached: how to be local, how to be hyper local, how to just eat what's around you and create beautiful meals that way. So where everything comes back to life and all of us are able to survive it, but we also want to be very cognizant of the fact that that might not be the case for a while. And we want to try to adapt in a way that is safe for everyone, first and foremost, and then also a way that we're able to create our food and provide for our neighborhood and our community.
And speaking of providing for your community, you're giving back to the community in the form of some assistance to your immigrant restaurant team folks, right? You talked a little bit about when we chatted the other day. You talked about some of the assistance programs that Muchas Gracias is doing to assist restaurant workers. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So, as I mentioned, the very first step that I took when I started seeing everything that was happening was to try to transfer the information and try to connect people with the programs, or at least with the data, for people to be able to access different things if they needed them. And we were able to pull together a bunch of resources, and they're up on our website. And we keep updating them as we get more information, whether it be virtual tip jars, GoFundMes, Venmos, nonprofit organizations with different programs for medical assistance, financial assistance, legal services, food, meals for kids, meals for adults, grocery bags, whatever it is that we're able to find that can provide for people in need. We're trying to post it and keep a live record of it for people to access. Secondly, and we started trying to create, if not all of the jobs that we had already planned on creating, at least some of them within the limitations that we have, to ensure that some of the people that we support were still getting some sort of economic support to their kids and their families. Following that, we're also, making sure that anyone that was furloughed from the company that hasn't necessarily been able to come back to work, they all have free hot meals. They can come in and get food anytime. We're working, like I mentioned before, we're working with Friends and Family Meal, who is connecting with farms and then salvaging produce that would otherwise go to waste, considering that a lot of restaurants are not buying in the quantities that they were buying before. They're probably not buying all of the more expensive, wilder ingredients that the chefs would be buying in normal times. So they're salvaging that produce and then trying to connect it and turn it into grocery bags that are going to service workers. And with our support, trying to focus also on the Latin American Spanish-speaking community. And we're doing that by donating parts of our proceeds or parts of our sales to support their cause. But we're also developing a market aspect to the business where we are able to provide fresh farm CSA boxes to the neighborhood. And with those boxes, by purchasing those boxes, then you create or you donate a box. So basically for every box that is bought, we are donating a CSA box through Friends and Family Meal to go to a family in need.
That is phenomenal. Do you have a full list of subscribers? Do you have any more room on your CSA subscriber list?
Yeah, I mean the subscription list is sort of growing, and you can reach out to us through email or through the website for it. We're hoping to roll out our very first box, if not by this coming weekend, hopefully by next Wednesday. And yeah, I mean, we're working directly with a couple of the farms that bring produce to us to make the food for Muchas Gracias, but also working with a lot of local producers and restaurants that we know are either struggling or trying to stay afloat, that are making delicious either sauces, dips, chips, all the kinds of things that we would want to just kind of have around in the house that we could put in these boxes to get out on a weekly basis to people. Yes.
Sure. How much are the CSA boxes?
So again, that's a little bit right now. It's being worked on. We're trying to figure out what the curated box looks like and what's going to go in there, and making those connections to see what we're going to have available. But I believe that there will be tiers. There will be opportunities for people to buy a one-off box, and then there'll be opportunities for people to sign up for 2 or 3 months, so you're receiving it weekly. So I think it'll be a little bit of a case by case, and depending on what you're looking for and what you want, we'd be able to curate that for you.
Another ever evolving product. That's exciting. So as things get back to normal, and fingers crossed that they all get back to some semblance of normal sooner rather than later. But of course, we all want to be safe. What are your long-term plans? This restaurant thing, you're gonna expand and grow other spots. We want to see more Mexican food in DC.
Yeah, believe me, I'm right there with you. I don't know. Everything is sort of just in the ether, floating around right now. But my quest, I think, since I started pursuing this cooking as a career, has been to reach a point where I can cook my food very selfishly so that I can eat my food, because I can't find Mexican food that I'm thrilled about that is highly accessible without having to drive to Virginia or to Maryland or across the city. Somewhere that is near me and literally is just all the stuff that I like to eat, and would hope that other people also get to enjoy, breaking out a little bit outside of the mold of what regular Mexican menus seem to be in the United States, and hopefully show people that there's just a vast culinary landscape in Mexico for people to experiment and try. We've been doing a lot of pop-ups on different concepts, whether it be just small ceviche bars during the summer to more upscale experiences, very reminiscent of the cosmopolitan places in Mexico City or Guadalajara or Oaxaca. And right now with Muchas Gracias, we're trying to recreate a lot of the flavors of the border. But yeah, I mean, we're ideas rich and going outside and touching each other poor. So we're trying to get over this hump and figure out where we're going to land next.
Well, I can't wait to watch the progression. I can't wait to order some food from you soon. And let's stay in touch about the projects you're working on. Love to revisit with you in a couple of months and see how the evolution of Muchas Gracias DC is going. Folks, if you want to check out their menu, it is muchasgraciasdc.com. They are located at 5029 Connecticut Avenue Northwest in DC. Christian, do you want to share the email address or phone number for people to place orders?
Absolutely. We can be reached at hola, H-O-L-A, at muchasgraciasdc.com. Our phone number is 202-244-5000. Fairly easy.
Perfect. Super easy to remember. Well, Christian, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so happy that you're seeing success even in this challenging time, and I can't wait for the food, the hug in a box to arrive at my front door, and can't wait to see your space once everything gets open. So thank you again, and thank you for the work you're doing for the community. The CSA boxes are a great idea, particularly the buy one, donate one, and yet another hallmark of small businesses contributing right back to the community where they're working. So thank you for that, and we'll visit again soon. Okay.
Fantastic. Happy to do so.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you. And thanks everyone for tuning in to another episode of Access Point. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.